So no dead bodies?
No dead bodies.
Because it's almost Halloween,
Yeah.
2022. I'm looking for some good
No
story
dead
about
bodies
that.
yet.
This is Davy's Doghouse. If you're a home seller or soon to be one, we'll throw you a bone. I'm Davy Dog, Dave Foster, Fontaine Family, the real estate leader. I'm here with Mike Lacombe from Pillar to Post Home Inspections, and Mike has generously offered to come into the Doghouse today and talk about inspections for sellers. Most people think inspections are for the buyer, and most of the time they are, but there can be a lot of upside for sellers to do inspections, maybe a couple of things to be concerned about, but mostly there's an upside to that. So Mike, tell us a little bit about what would you do for a seller? What kind of opportunities do you have for them?
Well, basically, it really is all the same opportunities we have for the buyers, except you're just offering it to the sellers. So a pre-listing inspection is simply that. It's a full home inspection, but it occurs for the sellers, and they purchase that home inspection to get it before they put it on the market.
Okay, so they've got the inspection.
Yep.
Now what happens? They know some of the stuff that's going on in the house.
Yep.
And what do they do with that generally?
Basically, it gives them more informed, so there's no surprises when it comes time to list it. So basically, a home inspection, we're looking for a lot of safety things, structural things throughout the house. So it just, again, gets them more informed, gives them a little bit of an edge where they can choose to take care of those problems if they wish. They may find some things that they want to fix and some things they won't want to fix. And then they can adjust the price accordingly. And then possibly go out as well and get estimates on the other things that maybe they chose not to fix, so that they can have that information for the potential buyers, and it really gives them that transparency.
Yeah, and that would be great for, I would think, somebody who's doing like an FHA 203K loan, which is a structural loan that FHA does, where you buy the house knowing there are things that need to get done, close on the house as a buyer, and then you already have your contractors lined up to do the repairs that need to come in to be done.
Right.
So a pre-inspection would help with that.
Absolutely.
They would have a better idea of the context of what needs to get done.
For sure.
What about thinking from a seller's point of view, because I do a lot of listings, and I know my sellers are always concerned about getting nickel and dimed. Like, we don't know what's going on with our house. All of a sudden we get this report, and the buyer comes back and says, I want to fix this, 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 and this. And we don't really know if, all that needs to be done. It sounds like a pre-inspection for a seller would let them know exactly what's going on in their home. So if a buyer comes back, they would know.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wouldn't be surprised.
Right, because then they could go out and get their own estimates, and then so they'll have a better idea as to how much these things would cost.
Yeah.
And like you said, it really frees up the negotiation process at that point, because they're not getting surprised with things. They've kind of done things ahead of time, and it makes the transaction at the end, the closing, go much smoother in a lot of cases.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I know from the buyer perspective also that having contingencies on a buyer purchase and sale agreement is what you don't want to do as a buyer right now. You want to have a good earnest money deposit. You want to have maybe some cash for an appraisal gap in case the appraisal comes in low. Right. You want to have potentially no inspection, although we always recommend an inspection.
Absolutely.
It's up to the buyers if they want to do it or not. And many buyers are waiving inspections now because their offers are up against other offers that are waiving inspections.
Right.
So it sounds like this also allows the buyers, more of a buyer pool, to come in and see a seller-paid pre-inspection report, feeling better about not having to do an inspection in that case.
Right.
Right.
It's much more. We found actually that because of that transparency, the sellers are actually getting better offers on their home, because a buyer who comes in, if they're going to be waiving that inspection, but there's already one that's been done by the seller, and there's that transparency, and they already know what's wrong with the house. They're likely in a lot of cases to offer more than they would normally, and so it's definitely an advantage for both, I think.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah. So the downside to this, from the seller's perspective, my understanding is that if you don't do a pre-inspection, you don't really know totally what your house is doing. As a seller, you need to be very transparent about disclosing everything that you know about the home.
Right.
So when you have an inspection done, you might find out there are areas of the home that you didn't know were a problem that now you know are a problem and now have to disclose that. Right. So I would think that a seller would be hesitant to do that because of that reason. But do you feel that the benefits to doing a pre-inspection outweigh that? Because I personally do as a seller agent. Yes, you could find that out, but you kind of want to know that anyway, liability-wise. But there's so many benefits to having that pre-inspection done. It kind of outweighs the negative of finding something that you need to repair or report.
Yeah, I mean, I think for sure that those benefits far outweigh that. And I mean, it's good for that homeowner to know that as well. And I think it's more, especially for most people, most people are good, honest people. And, they're putting their house on the market and they don't want to, screw somebody over or turn over a house that has a bunch of problems, right? So by them knowing that, there's a little bit more of a peace of mind for that seller too, to say, hey, we know about it, we're disclosing it. Either they may fix it as well, but they can, with that peace of mind, transfer that home over to the potential buyer without really worrying about it.
Right, and that would be very good. I would think for, in the grand scheme of things, a small amount of money. Right. Buys that peace of mind.
Oh, absolutely. And especially for buyers, right? This is the biggest purchase of their lives, potentially. So what we tell a lot of people is really it's a cheap insurance policy. It's an educational process about your home, right? It's not a pass or fail thing. Yeah. And it's really just an educational process so that you know exactly kind of what you're getting into, and that transparency, and that way you can say, okay, I can do this, or maybe I might want to look for something else. But it certainly has helped the industry considerably, I think.
And that's good. I agree with that. And the fact that having that report, I remember buying our house in Saco and having that report, it was like a punch list for things that needed to get done. Now, granted, I didn't do them all. I did just, there's a lot of stuff that you could do to a home, and there's a lot of upkeep to a home. But when we are with a buyer, we're looking for health and safety issues. We're looking for things that could be detrimental to the health and safety of the new buyer and their family. So for a seller to then take that on and pay for that inspection and have that done and say to them, look what I've done. I've done my due diligence on our home because we want to convey a really beautiful property without having that potential stigma or that worry about something bad happening.
Absolutely.
And I think that's, so percentage of inspections you do buyer versus seller. It must be like high buyer.
Oh, very, very high buyer. Yeah, I'd say it's about probably 96% up in that area. Yeah. It definitely, over the past couple of years, the way the market has changed and shifted, and we're definitely seeing even a shift now, kind of going the other way a little bit. But the pre-inspection or post-closing inspections have also been very popular. So sometimes they'll do it like we're talking about, the pre-listing inspections, and then other times homeowners will, or potential home buyers will put in an offer waiving the home inspection, but they'll get the some companies such as yours, I believe, offer the home warranty programs. So in order for that home warranty, for you to be able to file a claim on it, you have to document by a professional the conditions of the home when you took ownership,
so they
right?
do a post-closing inspection.
Right. So we've done a lot where it's basically once they have the keys in hand, before they even move into the home, we come in and do a full inspection, and then they have the report, and then are able to then, if they do have to make a claim on that warranty that they've purchased, they've got that as a kind of a backup.
So that's great. It kind of falls right into that.
Right.
Again, the peace of mind, people get caught up sometimes in numbers, hundreds of dollars. Right. And when it's a multi-tens of thousands of dollar purchase. Right. And that hundreds of dollars can buy such peace of mind and can create a transaction that's so much smoother. That both the buyers and the sellers come out of it feeling really good about the property that they're purchasing. Because ultimately, a seller wants to sell a property and a buyer wants to buy that property. Right. So why not find the easiest, smoothest way for that to happen? And it sounds like a pre-listing inspection is a really good way to go.
It is.
So what do you need from us then, the agents? What do you need us to do to get you in there more for with the sellers?
Yeah, it's basically just offering it and mentioning it, and mentioning the value of it, right? And how it can benefit them as a seller to do an inspection. So we found that to be a lot, and some, as you say, you have different tiered levels, and I know of some other agents, same thing, that you know, part of their package is to get a pre-listing inspection going, and so that's, you know, that's another way to do it as well. So, but it's very important, one way or the other, to get a home inspection. So again, you know exactly what you're getting into, because we have had many, with all the waived inspections that we have had in the past couple of years, we certainly have had an influx of calls after people have purchased the home, and they're now kind of in trouble. Right. They're seeing things that they didn't expect, and then they're calling us to come in and do an inspection because they're kind of worried about what they've gotten into. You know, a lot of them, it's their first home that this happens to, so you hate to see that happen. And an inspection prior to the sale, whether it be a pre-listing or by a buyer, can certainly prevent that.
Yeah.
So.
That's awesome. So tell me kind of the dark side of your job. Have you seen anything like crazy in your inspections? Have you found any dead bodies under the?
Yeah.
I mean, what happens?
Yeah.
You know, tell me a story.
No dead bodies yet. But basically, some of the worst stories are, matter of fact, had to do with someone who waived an inspection. And they called us and found out that they moved into the home, and suddenly they were just getting sick, and they were coughing and
like mold or something.
Yeah, and basically that's what they were like. You know, we don't know what's going on here, but we'd like to have you kind of come in and take a look, and something just doesn't seem right. Yeah. So we did, and we went up into the attic space because they had never checked the attic space, and it was black like that chair throughout the attic, and just heavy mold, and you know, attic, the ventilation from the bathrooms was going into the attic.
The fans were going right up in
there. Right up in there, and it wasn't ventilated at all. There was no airflow, and it was just a breeding ground for mold. And it was, you know, at that level, it's tens of thousands of dollars to remediate. So that, you know, that's one that we saw just recently.
So no dead bodies? Though?
No dead bodies.
Because it's almost Halloween 2022. I'm looking for some good story.
No dead bodies
that.
yet. I'm waiting for somebody to kind of set that up and surprise me.
Yeah,
with
that's
it,
true. With the thing like pop up in front
exactly.
of you.
Exactly.
Yeah,
but nothing.
Got those.
Nothing like that yet. Yeah. But yeah, we do see some scary structural stuff too. Basements that are very bad.
Yeah, cracked joists and things like that.
Cracked joists, walls caving in on the basements, you know, and stuff. And so yeah, those are all just the biggest ones, right? Because that's going to be the most expensive to fix. Yeah. And it can be fixed, right? I tell everybody that. Everything pretty much can be fixed, but there's a cost factor to it. Yeah.
That's great. Well, listen, I really appreciate you talking to me today.
Absolutely, thank you.
You know, I'm going to go out and I'm going to talk a little bit more to my sellers about pre-inspections, because I think that it is a good value for everyone. And I know now the front to back of a transaction can be very stressful for both sides, and to have something, this is usually one of the biggest problems in the transaction is the what's going on in the house, the condition of the home.
Absolutely.
So to know up front is a real benefit. So thanks again, Mike, and appreciate it. And all of you, don't forget, today's the day. Don't dog it.